Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I hope your day is going great. Mine's been awesome so far, and yes, today is another power ranking. I know, you guys have been wanting them so bad recently, and I do apologize. I'm so sorry I haven't made one in a little over a week. I've been covering a lot of news, but don't worry, I am going to get all of my power rankings out before the Overwatch League starts. The last one, number 13, was the Dallas Fuel. Today, I bring you number 12, the Guangzhou Charge. But before we get into the video, let me tell you guys about today's amazing sponsor, Omnicoach. Omnicoach gives you a full analysis, tips, exercises, and statistics, almost like a real coach would, but it's all automatic. So go to their website, check out their different coaching packages, and get one of them. By the way, they offer a satisfaction guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Literally, for the same price as a loot box, you will be able to get a full analysis for your gameplays. Also, make sure to subscribe to Omnicoach for updates, special offers, and inside info. Seriously though, you guys should check out Omnicoach. Anyways, we got it out of the way now. Let's go ahead and jump into the Guangzhou Charge. I'll give my initial thoughts real quick, and then we'll break down the organization as we have done for all the new teams so far. But starting off with the Guangzhou Charge, I really have high hopes for these guys, and I feel like they can achieve greatness this season. They definitely have potential to make the playoffs, but then they also have potential to just sit around that, 10th, 11th, 12th ranked spot, which is why we're going to put them at number 12. I just don't see the same potential that I see in the other 10 teams that I haven't ranked yet. And I really did go over a lot of these teams. I considered putting the Shanghai Dragons here, the Toronto Defiant, the Hangzhou Spark. So many other teams had potential to be the rank number 11, but at the end of the day, it came down to the Guangzhou Charge. I just had to do it, no matter how much I didn't want to. But I will, throughout this video, explain my thoughts as to why I think these guys can be a really strong team and just the little things that might be holding them back. Real quick, one more thing. I just want to say I'm not going to be taking into account their match against Seoul Dynasty that much, just because it was kind of a fun match, and I don't think those are good indicators to see how good the team will be. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll start off with their owners, as we usually do. So the main CEO and owner of the Guangzhou Charge is Sunny Zhao. I probably mispronounced that. Maybe I didn't, but he is the owner of the Guangzhou Charge, and he is also the vice president of Nanking Group, which is the main funder of the Guangzhou Charge, and that company is worth over $1.5 billion. Now, Sunny does a lot of different things for the Nanking Group, but his main focus is on a title that is called Sports Culture. So not only is he the CEO of their new Guangzhou Charge Overwatch League slot, he is also the president of their basketball team that goes by the Guangzhou Long Lions, who compete in the major basketball league in China. So he has the experience of being a VP of a major group, a president of a huge basketball team, and also now a CEO of an Overwatch League team. So overall, he does have that experience, and I guess what we can call sports culture. So I think Sunny will be a good owner since he does have that experience in basketball. He knows what it's like to have an actual team, and he knows what the players need to compete and be successful, so I'm sure he will bring that to the team. So overall, I think the owner is pretty good. Let's move on now to the management, and we'll start off with the general manager. We have Ethan. Now, Ethan comes from Maki Esports. Now, Maki Esports is a Taiwanese org that competes in many esports, but Ethan, he was the general manager of the Maki Esports Overwatch team, and he was with them for a very long time, pretty much their whole entire existence, and he competed in 4 different seasons of Pacific Overwatch Contenders, where his team every single season finished 5th through 8th. That means, yes, they did make it to the playoffs every single time, but they also lost in the quarterfinals every single season, 4 in a row. So overall, I would say, yeah, Ethan does have really good experience, 4 seasons in a row in Pacific Contenders. It's not easy making the playoffs, so he did make it every single time. You got to give him credit there. Overall, I'd say Ethan is a pretty decent general manager. He's worked around Overwatch esports players for a while. I see no problem with him, but I also don't see him as like this huge piece to the team. So we'll just say, cool, he's decent. Now let's move on and talk about the coaches. And we'll start off with their head coach. We have Jin, who comes from Metabellum. He was the head coach of Metabellum 2 contender seasons in a row in Korea. In season 1 and season 2, he reached the semifinals twice with them. Also, he's not only just a head coach, he's also a former professional player. He competed for Africa Freaks Blue, and he actually competed against Envious in the season 1 of Apex back in Korea, where Envious did take home first place in that tournament. Well, guess what? Jin was a player on that Africa Freaks roster who did make it to the grand final and got destroyed by Envious. So there's two really good things about Jin here. He has experience being a head coach for a strong team, and that strong team that he coached, he has a lot of those players coming over to this roster, and then he has also got that professional experience, so he knows the mindset of these players, and he knows how they're feeling during big tournaments, during matches, and just when they're frustrated. He should have a good idea on how to coach them, not only strategically, but mentally. So I think Jin is a good addition to this team. Now let's move on to the next guy. We have Ty, who was also an assistant coach of Metabellum during Season 2 Contenders. So he worked with Jin and the coaching staff over there, but not only is he also a former coach for a successful team, again, he is a former professional player too. Ty actually has a lot of playing experience. He competed for MVP Space, a Freak of Freaks, and Rocks Orcus, and he competed in 3 different seasons of Overwatch Apex and Overwatch Korean Contenders. Now, he didn't have that great of placements. He did get last place in every single season he played, but he does have a long playing history. So just like Jin, he's got that experience of being a player, so he can understand it not only strategically, but mentally. And then moving on to the third coach for the Guangzhou Charge, we have Sung Woo, who is an assistant coach on this roster, and he formerly coached the Detonator Korea roster, who is a Korean team that competed in the Pacific Division during Contender Season 1, and that roster just completely annihilated everybody. They got first place, destroying Blank Esports in the grand final. Then he moved on after that season, and he was the coach for the Meta Athena roster, which, to be honest, he wasn't very successful over there. That team just failed, and they couldn't even get out of the open division. So I do have some question marks about Sung Woo, but overall, Ty and Jin, I think they're going to be great coaches for this Guangzhou Charge team. They have experience with a lot of the players on the team, and they have experience as pro players. So overall, every single one of these coaches has had a high point in their careers and have been pretty successful, so I believe they'll come together and create a really good coaching staff. That is going to be it for the coaches and the management. Let's move on now and talk about the players on this roster, because it's a very interesting mix. We'll go and start off with Chara. Chara has spent his whole entire career with the Metabellum team, so he was coached by Jin the previous 2 seasons, and before that he was still with Metabellum, and he grinded with them through the open division, 2 challengers, and finally got an Overwatch Apex Season 4. They didn't do very well there, but again, he did compete in Contender Season 1 and Season 2 with Metabellum, where he was coached by Jin, and they were very successful, making it to the semifinals twice and almost to the finals. Chara overall is a really solid support player. He plays the Lucio right now, but he can flex. He can play the Moira, he can play the Ana, and even a little bit of Zenyatta. I think he'll be a good main support in the league because he's coming in with comfortability. He has the same coaches, and he also has the same support player, which is going to be Rise, who is his flex support player. Rise is his new in-game name for the Overwatch League. He used to go by J. Lee when he was on Metabellum. Now, Rise is somewhat of a relatively new player. His first major team was in Overwatch Contenders Season 1 North America with Simplicity, where they got dead last place. And then his second team was, of course, Metabellum, where he did compete alongside Chara and the coaches and had a very successful season. And he did look pretty good on flex support. His Zenyatta was great. So overall, I like the backline coming out from Guangzhou Charge. And they have 2 other support players as well, which we will get to, but I kind of want to stick with the players that are coming in from Metabellum. The next guy that played for Metabellum is Ryu. Ryu is the only main tank signed to the Guangzhou Charge, so he will get 100% starting time. Ryu has also spent most of his professional career competing with the Metabellum roster. He started off in Apex Season 4 alongside Chara, where they didn't do very well, but when they moved into Overwatch Contender Season 1 and they picked up Jin as their head coach, they were very successful, making the semifinals twice in a row. I've already gone over that. So Ryu overall, he's got that experience with Jin and Chara and J. Lee, as well as all the other guys that come from Metabellum. Overall, he was a solid main tank, and I like this pickup for the Guangzhou Charge. Now let's move on to the last player that comes from the Metabellum roster, and it's Happy, who is a DPS player, specializes more in the hit scan roles like Widowmaker, McCree, Soldier, Tracer, stuff like that, and he actually only played 1 season with Metabellum, Season 2, the most recent one, where they did lose to Kong de Panthera in the semifinals, and prior to that, he doesn't really have much professional experience. So he's a relatively new player, and it'll be exciting seeing him come into the Overwatch League and see what he is capable of. I guess he did look good for Metabellum during Season 2 of Overwatch Contenders, but again, it's only 1 season. He's inexperienced, so they're kind of rolling the dice here, I'd say. And I don't think they're just rolling the dice with Happy. I think overall, the DPS roster for this team is a little iffy. So now that we got the Metabellum players out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about all the DPS players. We'll start off with Eileen, who's going to be the first non-Korean player we're talking about. He comes from LGD Gaming. Eileen is probably one of the most hyped up DPS players of all time coming out of China, of course not counting Leave from that Miraculous Youngsters roster, but Eileen has been very successful for LGD Gaming over the past 2 years. In Overwatch Contenders Season 2 and Season 1 of China, he placed second. He's definitely looked really talented in his own region, but the question is, will this high-level DPS player from China be able to come into the Overwatch League and compete with the best of the best from the West and Korea? We really haven't seen any Chinese players yet come into the league and destroy anyone. Sure, Dia looked okay, I guess you could say, from Season 1, but again, nobody from China has looked good coming into the Overwatch League, so it's really tough to judge Eileen. And also, the fact that he speaks Chinese, not Korean or English, is going to hurt him and this team early on. And that leads me into the next problem with their DPS players and overall with this team, the language barriers. They have multi-languages coming into this team, English, Korean, and Chinese. So that's it for Eileen. Let's move on to the next DPS player. We have Nero, who's coming from the United States. Again, speaks English, so we have a multilingual team. Nero is an interesting player for this team, though. He isn't going to really be able to play for them until, I believe, May. I think he told me his birthday was late May, like May 28th or something, so he won't be able to play for these guys until, like, Stage 3. But overall, Nero's one of the better DPS players in all of the North American Contenders region. He competed with Toronto Esports, where he did fairly decent with them. He almost beat Philadelphia Fusion University once in a 2-3 loss against them in Season 2. We'll go ahead and move on from him, and we'll talk about the next interesting DPS player coming to this roster, and that's Kib out of the United Kingdom. Now, Kib has a ton of experience. He's been playing Overwatch since the very beginning, and he has played so many different roles. He can play the Genji, Roadhog, Brigitte, Zarya, Sombra, Diva, whatever you need. Kib can really play it, and he's competed for some good teams over the times. Most notably, recently, British Hurricane, who did win the very first season of Overwatch Contenders 2018 of Europe. Also, he played for Team UK in the most recent World Cup, and we all know they upset Team USA. That was pretty funny. So Kib overall is a good DPS player, but the question is, again, coming into this roster, that we don't know what language they're going to speak, either Korean or English. I would guess Korean since most of their roster and coaching staff is Korean, so Kib and Nero are going to have a really hard time adapting to the Korean language. And then if they speak English, that's obviously going to be hard because they have like 7 or 8 players from Korea and from China. So it's overall going to be a really tough language barrier situation with this roster, so I think that's really going to impact their DPS players. I mean, just think about it this way. The 3 DPS players that they can use at the start of the season is Eileen from China, Happy from Korea, and Kib from the United Kingdom. They all speak different languages, and if you want to tie that into the fact that the one that speaks Korean, like the rest of the roster, is inexperienced, it's going to be tough here. I think the DPS will struggle, but let's go ahead and move on now from the DPS, and let's talk about the best part of this team, and I think that's their off-tank Hoppa. Hoppa brings a ton of experience coming from Philadelphia Fusion, where he just had a grand finals appearance and almost won the championship. I think he is going to bring a ton to this team. Hoppa, a great off-tank. There's a reason why he was sharing playtime with Poco over there in Philadelphia. Now, I get that Philadelphia decided to get rid of him, which was an okay decision. I think it's fine having Poco play 24/7. Not that bad of an idea. I think they're kind of taking it from Lone Spitfire and narrowing down their roster where they want to run mainly their strong players and not sub in too much. Hoppa has also shown that he can flex a lot too. He played a great Tracer and a great Zenyatta, not only in the Overwatch League, but also in the Grand Finals. So that experience is going to come to this team. I think Hoppa will really help them. He'll be able to help the coaches and the players adapt to the league. And then the biggest thing that I think Hoppa will help this team with in Season 2 is the fact that he is coming from an extremely diverse and multilingual team from Season 1. Philadelphia Fusion was the most diverse team out of the entire league. So the experience that Hoppa has working with players from different regions that speak different languages is definitely going to help out. And now, lastly, let's go ahead and move on to the 2 players that I haven't covered, which are going to be support players for this Guangzhou charge. First, we have Shu coming in from Toronto Esports, who does have a little bit of experience with Nero. And the good thing about Shu is he probably has decent English from competing on that Toronto Esports roster. But we don't know about all the Metabellum guys. They've been speaking Korean their entire time when they were in Korea with Metabellum and all the coaches and stuff. So I'd say overall, Shu is a nice addition on this roster. He plays a good flex support. His Zenyatta is great, and he speaks a little bit of English. So there is a chance he could start here over Ryze, which would be an interesting situation considering Ryze and Chara both competed on Meta Belm together. Then their last support coming in is going to be OnlyWish, who is Chinese. So another interesting addition to this team, but honestly guys, I don't see a situation where OnlyWish will start on this roster. So OnlyWish does play that main support role, but there's no reason to run him over Chara, considering that Chara has all that synergy, not only playing with Ryze as his flex support, but just because the guy speaks Korean already. I don't think they want a guy coming in like OnlyWish, who probably doesn't speak that great of Korean, starting over their main support who has been there for a long time. So it's cool to have another main support, but I just don't see him playing. He has had a successful career overall with LGD Gaming. He does have previous experience playing with Eileen as well, so maybe he'll get some time, but not too much in my opinion. That's pretty much it though, guys. I just took you down a roller coaster ride covering the entire roster of the Guangzhou Charge, what's good about them, what's bad about them, where their players come from. Overall, I can see these guys placing around 8th to 13th, and I'm gonna slap them right in the middle around 12 or 11. I know I've said in this video that I have them at 11 and I have them at 12. That's my mistake, but they are sitting at number 12 with potential to maybe make the playoffs. They'll just have to get over those few hurdles. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video and you're still watching, do me a favor, man. Everybody who's still watching right now, thank you so much. You guys are dedicated viewers. Thank you for watching my content every day. Be sure to go down in the description and check out Omnicoach. Even if you don't have the money right now to actually get the coaching, which again is only the price of a loot box, it's good to go check it out and see if it is something that can help you. Because seriously, if you're sitting under masters, there's a chance that this could help you jump ranks. If you're in gold, you can probably get up to diamond by using this in a couple weeks. But yeah, everybody who checks it out, you guys are amazing. I love you so much. Leave a comment down below letting me know you checked it out. I'll try my best to respond to all of you. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I am out of here. Peace.